Driving while being distracted by any activity. A. Is never dangerous. B. Usually causes the driver to react more slowly to hazards. C. Usually causes the driver to drive faster. D. Is only dangerous for young drivers. B. Usually causes the driver to react more slowly to hazards. Distractions cause drivers to react more slowly to traffic and hazards on the roadway. Distracted driving is never safe. Anything that requires you to fill in the blank could cause you to crash. A. Take your eyes off the road. B. Take your hands off the wheel. C. Take your attention away from the task of driving. D. All of the above. D. All of the above. Anything that causes you to take your attention away from driving, take your eyes off the road, and/or take your hands off the wheel is a distraction. The best way to deal with tailgaters is to A. Speed up to increase the distance between you and the tailgater. B. Slam on your brakes to get the other driver to back off. C. Change lanes or gradually slow down to encourage them to pass. D. Ignore them. You must stop at a railroad crossing when A. Directed to do so by a flagger. B. It is controlled by a stop sign. C. Flashing red signals and gates are present and operating. D. All of the above. D. All of the above. You must stop at a railroad crossing when directed to do so by a flagger or stop sign. Stop when flashing red signals and gates are present and operating.
Want to ace your DMV test? Click on the link below and get your guaranteed cheat sheet.
This road sign means A. When pavement is wet, reduce your speed. B. The road ahead winds a series of turns or curves. C. Traffic increases ahead. D. Steep grade ahead. A. When pavement is wet, reduce your speed. This sign warns that pavement is slippery when wet. In wet conditions, you should reduce your speed, avoid braking or changing direction suddenly, and increase the distance between your vehicle and the one ahead. If you stop at a railroad crossing with more than one track. A. Wait to proceed until you have a clear view of all tracks. B. Stop on the first railroad track and watch for another train. C. Go through as soon as the train passes. D. Go through when one of the tracks is free. A. Wait to proceed until you have a clear view of all tracks. If you are stopped at a railroad crossing with more than one track, do not start moving as soon as a train passes. Wait until you have a clear view down all tracks before you start across. Even where there is only one track, do not start across immediately after a train passes. Check again for another train that may be approaching. To reduce the effects of headlight glare at night, you should look A. Straight ahead. B. Over your shoulder. C. At the center of the road. D. To the right edge of the road. D. To the right edge of the road. If oncoming drivers do not dim their headlights for you, keep your eyes on the right side of the road ahead. Do not look directly at the oncoming headlights because the glare may blind you for several seconds. You are approaching a railroad crossing and you do not see or hear a train. You must stop. A. If a stop sign is posted. B. If a crossing gate is lowered. C. If the crossing lights are flashing. D. All of the above. D. All of the above. You must always stop before crossing railroad tracks if flashing red lights are activated, a crossing gate is lowered, a stop sign is posted, a flagger signals you to stop, or a train is visible or so close to the crossing that it would be hazardous to continue driving. If you are unsure if a train is too close for you to safely cross the tracks, stop. Never race a train. When you hear a fire engine siren behind you, you must A. Slow down until it passes you. B. Drive with your flashers on. C. Pull over to the side of the road and stop. D. Speed up and take the nearest exit. C. Pull over to the side of the road and stop. When you hear the siren of an emergency vehicle, you must pull over to the curb or side of the road and stop. When approaching railroad tracks, you should A. Look, listen, slow down, and be prepared to stop. B. Speed up to cross the tracks before the gate is lowered. C. Try to drive around a lowered gate. D. Not pay attention to how many tracks there are to cross. A. Look, listen, slow down, and be prepared to stop. When approaching railroad tracks, you should look, listen, slow down, and be prepared to stop for trains or other vehicles that may be using the rails. What color are pavement markings that separate traffic lanes moving in opposite direction? A. Yellow. B. White. C. Yellow and white. D. Yellow, white, and black. A. Yellow. Yellow lines are used in the center of the road to separate lanes of traffic moving in opposite directions. Which of the following influences the effects of alcohol? A. The amount of food in the stomach. B. The body weight of an individual. C. How much time passes between drinks. D. All three choices. D. All three choices. Your blood alcohol content (BAC) depends on how much alcohol you drink, how much time passes between drinks, and your weight. Eating before or while you drink helps slow the absorption of alcohol somewhat, but it cannot prevent intoxication or impairment if you have too much to drink. A driver approaching a flashing red traffic signal must A. Slow down at the light. B. Drive carefully without stopping. C. Merge to the right. D. Stop before entering the intersection. What is the meaning of this sign? A. The traffic signal ahead is displaying a red light. B. The traffic signal ahead is broken. C. The traffic signal ahead is displaying a green light. D. There is a traffic signal ahead. D. There is a traffic signal ahead. This sign indicates that there is a traffic signal at the intersection ahead. Your vehicle strikes an unattended parked vehicle and you cannot locate the vehicle's owner. You A. Have done as much as you can. B. Must stay until the police arrive. C. Must leave a written notice containing your name, your address, and the circumstances of the accident. D. May go on your way. C. Must leave a written notice containing your name, your address, and the circumstances of the accident. Upon striking an unattended vehicle, stop and try to locate the owner. If you cannot find the owner, leave a written notice containing your name, your address, and the circumstances of the accident. This sign means A. Keep right. B. Low shoulder. C. No parking at any time. D. Lane ends. A. Keep right. Regulation signs regulate traffic speed and movement, displaying rules which drivers must obey. This regulation sign indicates that drivers should keep right to avoid an upcoming potential driving hazard. You are coming to an intersection and have a green light. Pedestrians are crossing against the red. You should A. Honk your horn. B. Speed up and pass in front of the pedestrians. C. Stop to let the pedestrians cross safely. D. Drive close to the pedestrians and frighten them so they'll think twice before crossing against a red light. C. Stop to let the pedestrians cross safely. Yield to pedestrians and cars that may be caught in an intersection when you have a green light. Be careful around pedestrians under every circumstance. At night, it is hardest to see. A. Road signs. B. Pedestrians. C. Other motorists. D. Street lights. B. Pedestrians. Compared to signs and other roadside objects, pedestrians are hardest to see at night. The consumption of alcohol while taking drugs can A. Decrease the effects of the drugs and alcohol. B. Increase the effects of both the drugs and alcohol. C. Help cure your illness. D. Improve your driving ability. B. Increase the effects of both the drugs and alcohol. The combination of alcohol and drugs, in some cases, can increase the effects of both the drugs and alcohol. It can be unsafe to drive after consuming either alcohol or drugs and is even more dangerous after combining them. At an intersection with a stop sign, you should stop and A. Check your rearview mirror for cars tailgating. B. Move when the vehicle ahead of you moves. C. Look right first, then left, then right again. D. Look left first, then right, then left again. D. Look left first, then right, then left again. When stopped at an intersection, you should first look to your left, as vehicles coming from the left are closer to you than vehicles coming from the right. Look to your right, then look to your left again, in case there are any vehicles coming from that direction that you did not see at first glance. You may drink alcoholic beverages in a vehicle on a public highway. A. As long as you aren't driving. B. If you are riding in the back seat. C. If you are riding in the back of a pickup truck. D. Under no circumstances. D. Under no circumstances. It is against the law to consume or possess any alcoholic beverage while on a public road or sidewalk. Additionally, storing an open alcoholic beverage container in an area of a motor vehicle normally occupied by the driver or passenger is prohibited on any public road. This road sign means A. Sharp right turn. B. A road joins from the right. C. The road ahead turns sharply right, then sharply left. D. Winding road ahead. C. The road ahead turns sharply right, then sharply left. This sign indicates that the road ahead turns sharply to the right and then sharply to the left. When making a right turn on a green light, you must A. Maintain your normal driving speed. B. Stop and look for nearby police cars. C. Yield to pedestrians. D. Increase your normal driving speed. C. Yield to pedestrians. Unless a posted sign prohibits it, you may turn right or left at a steady green light. When turning, you must yield to other vehicles and pedestrians within the intersection. When you approach a railroad crossing without flashing warning signals or crossing gates, you should A. Cross the tracks immediately and as quickly as possible. B. Always stop before crossing the tracks. C. Prepare to yield to any train at the crossing. D. Speed up to beat any oncoming train. C. Prepare to yield to any train at the crossing. Always be prepared to yield to any oncoming trains before crossing railroad tracks, particularly if there are no lights or gates controlling the crossing. Never start to cross the tracks until there is room for your entire vehicle on the other side of the tracks. Due to the risk of a vehicle stalling, it is not wise to shift gears when crossing railroad tracks. You must stop at an intersection when you see a flashing red light, B. Steady yellow light, C. Yellow arrow, D. Flashing yellow light. A. Flashing red light. A flashing red traffic signal has the same meaning as a stop sign. At an intersection with a flashing red light, you must come to a complete stop, look both ways, and proceed only after the intersection is clear. To drive safely at night, you should A. Increase your following distance. B. Not drive if you are tired. C. Make sure your headlights are working properly. D. All of the above. D. All of the above. At night, visibility is reduced. Take steps to make driving in the dark more safe for you and the other drivers on the road. Drive below the posted speed limit when A. Anything makes conditions less than perfect. B. You see a police car. C. Entering a highway where there are other cars. D. You are on a 4-lane road. This road sign means A. Keep right. B. Keep left. C. Pass with caution. D. No passing. A. Keep right. This sign indicates that a divided highway begins ahead. The road splits into two one-way roadways separated by a median or divider. You must keep to the right. This sign means A. You must drive slowly and sound your horn. B. A bus stop is ahead. C. You are entering a school's parking lot. D. A school zone is ahead. D. A school zone is ahead. Warning signs are used to warn drivers about upcoming hazardous conditions and are usually yellow with black markings. This sign tells drivers that they are approaching a school zone and that they should slow down and watch for children. Vehicle stopping distances never depend on A. Your own reaction time. B. The time of day. C. The condition of your vehicle's brakes. D. The condition and type of your vehicle's tires. B. The time of day. The distance that a vehicle needs to stop depends on the motorist's reaction time, weather and visibility conditions, the vehicle's weight, the conditions of the vehicle's brakes, the condition and type of the vehicle's tires, roadway conditions, and speed. On a two-lane street, your vehicle is being followed by a fire engine that is not using its emergency signals. You should A. Continue to drive in a normal manner. B. Stop as quickly as you can. C. Speed up to get out of its way. D. Slow down, move as far to the right as possible, and stop. A. Continue to drive in a normal manner. If you are being followed by an emergency vehicle that is not using its siren or flashing lights, you do not need to clear a path. Continue driving in a normal manner. If you are stopped by a police officer, you should A. Unbuckle your seat belt and lower your window. B. Get your paperwork ready before the officer reaches your car. C. Stay in your vehicle with your hands on the steering wheel and wait for the officer to approach you. D. Get out of your car and walk toward the patrol car. C. Stay in your vehicle with your hands on the steering wheel and wait for the officer to approach you. If you are stopped by the police, keep your hands on the wheel and ask any passengers to keep their hands in view as well. You should remain in the vehicle unless the police officer asks you to get out. Wait until the officer asks you to retrieve your driver license, registration, and insurance cards. You are involved in an accident and your vehicle is blocking traffic. You should A. Move your vehicle off the traveled portion of the roadway, if possible. B. Not move your vehicle under any circumstances. C. Wait until the police arrive before moving your vehicle. D. None of the above. A. Move your vehicle off the traveled portion of the roadway, if possible. After a minor collision, move your vehicle off the traveled portion of the roadway, if possible. Do not leave the scene of an accident without identifying yourself and rendering assistance. When dealing with pedestrians, a driver must A. Make sure the pedestrian is aware of their vehicle. B. Always yield the right of way, even if the pedestrian is in the wrong. C. Yield the right of way only when the pedestrian is legally entitled to it. D. Slow down and sound their horn near a crosswalk. B. Always yield the right of way, even if the pedestrian is in the wrong. You must do everything you can to prevent striking a pedestrian or another vehicle, regardless of the circumstances. It is the driver's basic responsibility to be alert to pedestrians and to yield the right of way to all pedestrians, even if the pedestrian is crossing the street where they should not be. Which of the following is correct? A. You may turn right after stopping at a steady red light and yielding to cross traffic, unless otherwise posted. B. You may make a U-turn anywhere, unless a prohibitive sign is posted. C. You may turn left into any clear lane on a multi-lane road as long as no cars are in your way. D. All of the above. A. You may turn right after stopping at a steady red light and yielding to cross traffic, unless otherwise posted. At a steady red light, you may turn right after stopping and yielding to pedestrians and cross traffic, unless otherwise posted. Additionally, when turning left from a one-way street onto another one-way street, you may proceed from a steady red light after stopping and yielding to pedestrians and cross traffic, unless otherwise posted. A speed restriction sign. A. May be ignored in rainy, snowy, or icy conditions. B. Has a triangular shape. C. Is blue with black lettering. D. Shows a recommended speed for a curve or turn. D. Shows a recommended speed for a curve or turn. Curve and turn warning signs often have attached advisory speed signs that show a recommended driving speed for drivers in the curves and turns. Although a driver may feel comfortable driving at a higher speed in fair weather, they should never do so under rainy, snowy, or icy conditions. Round signs indicate A. No passing zones. B. School zones. C. Upcoming railroad crossings. D. Hospitals. As you near an intersection, the traffic light changes from green to yellow. Your best action is to A. Speed up to beat the red light. B. Apply the brakes sharply to stop. C. Be prepared to stop in the center of the intersection. D. Be prepared to stop before the intersection. D. Be prepared to stop before the intersection. A steady yellow traffic light indicates that the light will soon change to red. You should be prepared to stop for the red light, if it is safe to do so. On the freeway, you see a merging traffic sign. You should A. Honk at incoming traffic. B. Always remain at your present speed. C. Speed up to avoid congesting traffic. D. Move to another lane, if safe, to let traffic enter. D. Move to another lane, if safe, to let traffic enter. When on a roadway with 2 or more lanes, you should make room for entering vehicles. If there is no one driving next to you, move over one lane. This sign means A. Winding road. B. No parking. C. Right lane closed. D. Multiple turns. A. Winding road. Warning signs prepare drivers for upcoming road conditions and hazards and are usually yellow with black markings. This sign warns drivers that they are approaching a winding road and that they should adjust their speed accordingly.